wow, what do you know? It's time for the Pocket Knife Show. Hey, it's Mike on the mic for the Pocket Knife Podcast. Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to talk about the end. The end is coming. Every time I hear those words, I picture this long-haired, long-bearded prophet of doom standing on the street corner with this giant placard shouting out bad news. That wild-eyed, half-crazed character is the staple of comic strips, but it doesn't represent very well the one who first announces that the end will come. That's Jesus. He tells his disciples that the end is coming in response to a question that they ask. This week I had a conversation with a few pastor friends about the end times, and we talked about how Revelation and Jesus' words here in Matthew and in every other predictive passage that the aim is not to create fear, but to create awareness. Jesus is simply saying, or God is simply revealing, that these are the things going to happen. So pay attention so you know it's coming, but don't be fearful. We're going to look at Jesus' words in Matthew 24 and 25. I want to look at what Jesus emphasizes as he talks about the end times. So we're going to start out with Matthew 24, 4 and 5, 10, 11, 23 to 27. Listen as I read. "Watch out," Jesus said, "that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah and will deceive many." Skipping down to 10. "At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people." And then 23 to 27 says, "At that time, if anyone says to you, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'There he is,' do not believe it, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, 'There he is out in the wilderness,' do not go out. Or 'Here he is in the inner rooms,' do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man." So Jesus' first point is that false teachers and false prophets and false messiahs are going to appear. He says that and tells us to be aware so that we're not deceived. You see, we have this tendency to follow after the charismatic leader, to look at the flashy, and we live in this flesh-driven society that'll take us down this path that the Spirit never intended us to follow. This is one of Jesus' main points. He says, watch out so that you're not deceived. Don't follow your flesh, follow the Spirit, because all sorts of false teachers are going to appear. The next point that Jesus makes is found in Matthew 24, 36 through 37, and then 42 through 44. So let me read that for you. Again, this is at verse 36. "But about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." And then down to 42, reading 42 to 44. "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would have not let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." Let me say this clearly. You do not know the day or the hour of Jesus' return. There are people who spend a lifetime trying to figure out what Jesus clearly says is unfigure-outable. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be aware of what the scriptures say, but I am saying that we should not try to force every event that happens in our day into a prophetic fulfillment. If he says no one knows the day or the hour, trust him. The Father who needs to know the day and who needs to know the hour can handle it, and when it's time, he'll say, "Jesus, bring your bride home." You don't need to figure that out. The last point that Jesus makes we find in Matthew 24, 44 to 51. Matthew 24, 44 to 51 says, "So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly, I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and in an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him to a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Being ready means serving Jesus by serving others faithfully. We're talking about using gifts, using your abilities, your skills for God's glory and the good of others. And it's by far more important than staring at the sky and speculating about when Jesus has come. It may be today or tomorrow or the next day. Yes, please come, Lord Jesus, but let him find me, let him find you doing what the Spirit commands, obeying him, serving others. You know, it's really our flesh that wants to know when it is, maybe so we can get things straight before that. But the Spirit says to you and to me, you don't need to know. Just follow. Just be obedient. Now, if you skip over into chapter 25, you can read the stories and you're going to see all of these things we've been talking about. The point of the story of the 10 virgins is that you need to be ready by following the Spirit because you don't know the day or the hour. The point of the story of the bags of gold or talents or whatever your version calls it is that you use whatever God gives you for his glory. And the point of the story of the sheep and the goats is that using your gifts for God's glory includes caring for others who are destitute and damaged and desperate. Let me read just a portion of Matthew 25. I'm going to read verses 34 to 40. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Caring for the hungry and thirsty, the person you don't know, the person lacking clothing, the sick person, the incarcerated, that is what is rewarded. It's not speculation that honors God. Service and the power of the Spirit is what matters most. Give me Spirit-led service over speculation every single time. Jesus is coming back. I encourage you, be found doing his work in his power for the good and the benefit of others. That's what it means to be ready for his return. Until next time, God bless you. Follow him. Oh no, it's sad I know we've come to the end of the show. See you next time.